Hello. Let's see. Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but Ted, you're on mute.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Sierra.
I am just getting some things set up. Can you guys also see my screen with the PowerPoint?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome.
I'm trying to find a way. It's like locked my computer. I can only mess with this.
Oh no. Hi, everyone. I see we've got a bunch of people joining. So it's right at 3:30 and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Anybody that joins late, we'll do like a Q&A session at the end. So I would ask everybody, I will take questions, but if you could just hold those. And if we could have everybody mute their microphones, that just kind of helps reduce some of the feedback noise. But I will go ahead and get started. Okay, so I see a lot of you on here. I think I know most everybody either from other programs or previous YEC engagements or perhaps even the summit that we do every year in June. I think we have some newbies on the call too as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Amara Kaneep, and I am the eCommunity Program Manager for Network Kansas. So I oversee all of our board certified programs. So in addition to YEC, I do GRB, Ice House, Destination Bootcamp, and Makerspace Bootcamp, and any pilot programs that may come up as well. So I'm definitely involved with all of those board certified and pilot programs. However, YEC is a big enough program that it takes up most of my time. So I wanted to let everybody know, if I haven't worked with you, I just want to assure you that I am a resource here for you in addition to your field manager. So definitely, always stay in touch with them, but feel free to contact me anytime as well. If you have questions or concerns about anything program related, or you're looking for a resource or anything like that, you just want somebody to bounce ideas off of, feel free to reach out to me. So my phone number, my direct office line, and my email are listed on that slide there. So feel free to jot those down and reach out to me whenever. Okay, so I think as everybody here knows, youth entrepreneurship is an issue that's very important to Network Kansas, something that all of our staff is very passionate about. And really, one of the main goals of the YEC series is to just provide hands-on entrepreneurship experience to the students. So we want all students to be able to see that entrepreneurship is a viable career path for them. This program will also help them recognize problems as opportunities. So there, you'll see a little bit of overlap with some of the Ice House concepts in the YEC series. We're definitely excited about promoting an entrepreneurial mindset to students at a young age. We also hope that this helps students establish deep roots in their community. So we know that a lot of times, students say that they think they have to move away to have a successful career, but we want them to know that it's something that they can do right there in their home communities. And so we just hope to grow our communities across the state of Kansas through entrepreneurship as well. All right, so probably a lot of you have seen this. I'll just go over it briefly. Got a little chart here to share with you the history of the YEC series. So this program began in the 2013 through 2014 academic year. We started out in the northwest corner of Kansas, and this program has since expanded throughout the entire state. So there, just to show you some of the numbers and how they've grown over the years, we've got our number of competitions and our number of participants. So we did start out originally with just 5 competitions and 48 kids, and this past year, the 2018-2019 series, which we wrapped up in April, we had 40 competitions and 865 students across the state. So that's really exciting growth that we're super pumped about, and we're just so glad that you guys have been with us on this journey and making this program successful for our state.
That's wonderful.
Yes, thank you guys. So appreciative of everybody who joins this. I'm just going to go over real quick some important dates, and then we'll get into the guidelines for this year. So put all these dates on your calendars. I'm sure you guys probably already have them, but I'll just go over them briefly just in case. So right now, we are doing sanction applications. You'll need to fill one of those out in order to officially become part of the YEC series. So those are due November 15th, and we've already had a considerable amount of communities submit those. As we've talked about for e-communities, in order to reserve grant funding, which is done on a first come, first served basis, you would submit that sanction application. And you can do that in our portal, which after I finish with the slides, I'll just pull that portal up real quick for those of you who might not be familiar or might not have seen it before, and I'll show you where to go in there for that application. So sanctions due November 15th. Your local event will have to happen by March 20th. That's the cutoff for the local competitions. And then executive summaries for the students are due to K-State by March 27th. So they are doing their open review again for wildcard slots. And winners, just like last year, winners of local events still need to submit that executive summary as well so it can be judged. So kids will need to do that by March 27th. K-State is planning to announce finalists on April 6th. And on April 28th will be the official KEC State Championship. All right. So I guess right now we'll just run through the guidelines. I won't spend a super long time on those. They're mostly the same from last year. There's not really any huge changes, but there are a couple, so we'll just go through those. Again, your competition must be held in Kansas, pretty common sense. Participating students need to reside in Kansas. Occasionally, there are some communities that have students that attend that live outside of Kansas, and mostly those are in the border communities. So if you have anything that you might need to, or that you think might need to be an exception to that, please contact me. The competition has to be open to students in at least 9th through 12th grade. So one of those grades needs to be represented, but you can open to others as well. So we've got some examples there, 7th through 12th, 9th through 12th, just 10th grade, or 6th through 9th would all be acceptable. This year, again, we're also including or requiring the executive summary and the 4-minute presentation. So those are the two components that need to be completed at the local level, but you could also choose to do an additional component or two, such as elevator pitch or the trade show. And on that 4-minute presentation, again, there's flexibility on how you implement that, where you could do it, for example, as part of the trade show. The competition also must reserve at least one judging spot for an active member of the Kansas Masons. So again, the Kansas Masons are very largely involved with the KEC State Championship and providing a lot of prize money and sponsorship for that event. In addition, we require that the competition follows the marketing guide listed on the portal. So this is something that we did last year as well. And when I pull up the portal, I can also show you where this is. We've just got, logos for Network Kansas and the Masons that we ask that you include on those promotional materials. Our prize dollar limits are the same as last year. So they're listed there, can't exceed a total of $3,500 in prizes. And then we have those individual limits for first place, second place, etc. So those are all listed there. They don't include the $250 prize that is sponsored by the Masonic Foundation for the first place winner. Again, that's a prize that the Masons give separately, and it's given out at the state championship. Next rule was just, again, about the sanction applications that we went over. So November 15th, or if you're wanting to do an event before November 15th, we actually do have one that's being held, I believe, on November 13th. you would need to complete your sanction application before the event, obviously. So the competition can take place anytime between August 1st and March 20th. If you're not an e-community, there is a $1,500 sanction application fee, but if you are an e-community, then that fee is waived. A student can only participate in one local event in the series and can only present one business per competition. And communities may only organize one event unless there are some sort of compelling reason. So if you feel that's the case, you can talk to me about that. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our YEC portal. And if you were at the summit, we talked about this as well. But I want to make sure to cover this for those who may be new to this. So we have a portal online, which is basically a one-stop shop for YEC success. It's basically a tool that it's got everything. So we've designed it to have, gather executive summaries all in one place. It's got a full scoring system. You're going to have your contact information for students and teachers there. Lots of resources as far as, templates and examples for each of the components, executive summary, 4-minute presentation, elevator pitch, and trade shows. So you can find tons of resources in there, and we're updating it all the time. Actually updated it's more resources based on the feedback and the conversation that we had at the summit in June. So there's been even more stuff added since last year. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, I would definitely encourage that. And again, you're not required to use the portal. So if maybe you feel like your event's too small and you don't want to mess with it, you're definitely not going to be required to. However, everybody will use it at least a little bit just to fill out the sanction application. All right, so we have some new features this year for the portal. As I mentioned, we've been updating it. So Ted Crewell and Nick Thompson with LionGraph are the people who support us with that portal and have made a lot of these improvements. So either Ted or Nick, if one of you guys could unmute yourself and maybe get us up to speed on some of these new features, I'd definitely appreciate it.
Sure, I'll go ahead and talk. But you can also, if you scroll through the faces at the bottom, you can see Nick's face as well. When he responds at times, it'll be either Nick or I will respond to your request. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions at any time. I wanted to talk about some of the updates we made over the summer. Before I jump into that, I wanted to say your feedback is really essential to this. We are constantly listening to what you're saying and trying to incorporate it. And so just keep that in mind. We listen to what you say, so please tell us. All right, so here are the things, and I've got a different list, but I think my list is in the same order, so I'll try and stick to your outline. First thing, we are creating new software that will be ready in about 1.5 years. So not this season, but the next. To get ready for that, we're changing some of the wording that we're using. So I just wanted to say students, we've called students the students all the time. From now on, those are going to be referred to as entrepreneurs. We've called, anytime you see teacher, that's now going to say mentor. Partners, which is you guys, is going to be host, and judges are going to stay the same. They're going to be judges. So if you see the words entrepreneur, mentor, or host, that's what those mean, and those are going to be changes you'll see reflected throughout the portal. That's not a big change. Second one, one of the biggest issues the portal's had in the past has been the registration process for entrepreneurs. You might recall it was a 3-step process. They had to create an account, create a business, and then register for an event. We've streamlined that from a 3-step process to a 2-step process. So now they create an account, and then they're automatically registered for the event that they select. So it'll be on 2 pages instead of 3. And one of the issues is that entrepreneurs were getting basically lost in no man's land. They had either created an account and not a business or not registered, and we had a hard time keeping track of them. From now on, day one, the first second they touch the portal, they have to pick which event they're going to be connected to. And from that point on, you will be able to see them when you go in to manage your event. And hopefully we don't have as many floating entrepreneurs in the portal. One of the big themes this summer was that anytime a student was asked to do something, we're trying to basically, students are going to do a lot less and hosts and mentors are going to do a lot more. One of the issues was that creating teams, when there were 2 or 3 or 4 students on a team, a lot of times they'd create multiple businesses or there'd be duplicates or those kind of things. From now on, we're going to put a lot of that work on the host and the mentors to connect the entrepreneurs to the right businesses in case those things get messed up. So you're going to have a lot more control when you are using the portal, and you're not going to have to send as many emails to entrepreneurs trying to track them down. Another thing you'll be able to do, we added this kind of midway through last year. Anytime an entrepreneur needs to upload a document, mentors and hosts can do that. Mentors that you might recall are teachers. So either of those can upload documents on behalf of students, because often that's an issue. Students aren't able to upload their documents. One of the other big issues from one season prior, whenever we roll over to a new season, there's tons of old accounts, old user accounts, and everyone's forgetting their password. And so then they're creating duplicate accounts, and that's kind of been a mess. So what we've done this summer is we've cleaned out the database. So any student, every single student and every single judge, it doesn't matter if they've participated in the past, they're all going to create new accounts this fall. They can use whatever email address they want. They won't create duplicates because all of those are gone. And they should be able to use a new streamlined registration process. So there won't be nearly as many issues. If this does not affect all of the old registrations and businesses that you have for your previous events, all of that information is still there. It's just that those user accounts have been deleted. Your accounts, your host accounts, have not been deleted, so you should be able to log back in and have access to everything that you want. Another thing that we added was we had a lot of feedback from teachers.
You still there, Ted? I think your mic is cutting out.
Oh no! How long has it been cutting out?
I heard we've had a lot of feedback from teachers. Was the last thing.
Okay. All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of feedback from teachers saying they want to be able to see more details for the competitions. So from now on, hosts, when you're looking at your competition dashboard and you can see all of the different details, mentors can see all of that. They just cannot make edits. So they have read-only access to your entire event. So that's new this year. Lastly, we have created an invite system so you can invite mentors, judges, and entrepreneurs. Previously, that was left up often to entrepreneurs to invite their teacher to the portal and entrepreneurs to invite other participants to the portal. But it's not entrepreneurs' job anymore. So the host is responsible for inviting mentors, judges, and entrepreneurs, and we've built that into the portal so it'll be much cleaner and easier when you're trying to send out emails to them. That is my list. Amara, I'll turn it back over to you and we can field questions or go forward from there.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Ted. Yes, as he mentioned, all of these updates that we've done were based on feedback that we received throughout the past year and especially at the summits. So we hope that these changes are really going to help you guys going forward to make everything more streamlined and just a simpler and easier process for you guys. As Ted mentioned, we are creating a new software. It's right now being called the Entrepreneurship Competition Management System, which we call ECMS for short because that's a super long name. And the name might be subject to change, so not sure yet on that. But this is really exciting because it will eventually replace the current portal that we have now. So the portal that we have now is great, but just due to the software that we've been using, there are a couple limitations that this new system will be able to overcome. So this is going to be a better looking, fancier type of portal with more capabilities, an interactive resource library, and it could potentially be applicable to any type of entrepreneurship competition. So of course, we're going to be using this for the YEC series, and e-communities will use it, non-e-communities participating in YEC as well. But eventually Network Kansas will look to scale and sell this to other places for other types of entrepreneurship competitions as well. So as Ted mentioned, this is currently in development. So we're planning and building right now. We don't anticipate this being completed until the winter of 2020. So again, it won't be finished for this season. Ever in the spring, you might be in need of some beta testers. Have a YEC competition in the spring, and you'd be interested in testing this out. Please feel free to let either your regional manager or let me know. All right. So I'm also going to talk about, just briefly, the KEC State Championship. So the organizers of this competition are Dr. Chad Jackson and Arlena Elliott, who work for the K-State Center for the Advancement of Entrepreneurship. And they are the authority on the KEC competition. So I know sometimes that's a little confusing from an outside view, but it is a separate competition run by K-State, in which we have an agreement with them to send first place winners of YEC competitions to automatically qualify for that event. And they're doing wild cards as they did last year. So their emails are listed on that slide right there, and they're very open to feedback or questions. Anytime you want to reach out, please feel free to contact them. KEC is going to be again on April 28th, 2020. There are a few tweaks to the upcoming competition. I don't think it's going to be anything too shocking, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail just because that's K-State's place to share that. So I want to invite you guys to an additional webinar on September 24th. Also at 10:30, Arlena Elliott from K-State will be on that webinar talking more in depth about the KEC State Championship. And so links and invitations will be sent out after this webinar concludes. So just keep an eye on your email inbox and keep an eye out for that link and that invitation as well. All right, so we've got some photos. You can see some of our students participating, and it's now time for questions. So if you have anything you want to ask, feel free to unmute yourself and let me know.
Hey, Amara, I think if there's maybe anybody new on here or just some people looking for examples, you might want to cover, you know, what maybe we might suggest at a local event and just a little bit about what state looks like to make sure that, you know, maybe a rough agenda.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great point. So, okay, what was your first thing before state?
Oh, just covering maybe what, you know, the traditional components we see at a local level are.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so as Sierra was mentioning, we've got two components that are required at the local level. So the first is the executive summary. That's a 1 to 3 page written executive summary that students submit to be judged ahead of time. I almost forgot to pull up the portal. I hope you guys can see this on my screen. But I'll show you a little bit more about resources for these components in a second. And then we also have the 4-minute presentation is required at the local level. So again, that's pretty flexible. It could be a 4-minute like formal presentation that they do in a separate room, or it could be, you know, just the 4 minutes that they talk at their trade show booth. And so that you do have some flexibility on how you implement that. Sometimes communities also choose to include a 2-minute elevator pitch. So just a real quick pitch about the business. And then for those of you who are brand new, I've mentioned trade shows several times, and I'm realizing that maybe you don't know what that is. So a trade show is basically like a kind kind of like a science fair tabletop display of the business. I can show you some examples real quick. This is our portal. And if you guys can't see this, just let me know. So I've logged in as a partner. I've got like a fake account so I can show you guys what you would see from your view. So we've got the getting started page, which is what I'm on. You can go to your profile and see your events. If you come under this YEC Series tab, we've got a calendar of events, our local guidelines, and then marketing guide that I talked about as far as those marketing materials that you'll want to use. So they're all listed there. And then if you come over, we do have a tab for KEC, so just some general information about that competition. And then if you come over to the resources tab, this is where the bulk of the information is. So we've got our resources divided up into several categories. And if you come down here to education, this is where we have all of our components listed. So we've got executive summary, elevator pitch, 4-minute presentation, and trade show. So I'm going to use the trade show as an example. If you come over here and click on this component, you can see some example instructions on how you might set up that event at your local level. Well, and it just includes, instructions, process, and judging. If you scroll down, you can also see some photo examples. So, like right here, these are what typical, trade show booths might look like. And then if you go over and click on these other components as well, we've got some of the same stuff as far as like links to resources of, how to create a presentation. We've got scorecards and rubrics for all of these as well. And then Sarah also requested that I talk a little bit about state, which I'm happy to do. So those of you who were at the KEC State Championship last year probably remember how they just set it up. I say last year, but it was April. I mean last season. So we had still the executive summaries part of that. They also had elevator pitches and then their mock boardroom, which is where students, they would have their executive summary judged, and then they would get a list of questions from the judges where they would go in on the day of the competition and do a mock boardroom where they would answer these questions and have a little bit more, Q&A and give and take with the judges. And so that was really successful and a really popular component of the competition, which they've decided to run with a little bit more for this upcoming KEC competition. So they are not going to do the elevator pitch at state this year. They're, of course, still going to have the executive summary, but what's going to happen now is that students will do multiple mock boardrooms with different sets of judges. And their idea behind this was just to expose students to more interactions and more relationships with the judges and help them get a little bit more mentorship and feedback on their ideas. So just making it a bit more interactive and a positive experience for them as well. So again, I will let Arlena share more information about that, but just so that you guys know what state will probably look like, that's what their plan is to do. So again, that webinar for KEC is going to be on September 24th. And if you're unable to attend, we'll make sure that it's recorded as well.
And what time will that be? Will it be at the same time?
Yes, also 3:30.
Okay.
Try to set it 4 times when our teachers can attend as well.
Amara, was there anything besides the improvements to the portal, maybe something on the guidelines that have changed for some of the communities that have done this several years in a row?
So let me show you. So largely the guidelines are the same as far as like, what components are required and things like that. The biggest things that we've changed in there are probably that the students can have only one concept per competition. So that was not explicitly stated before. However, that was added in this year after we had somebody last year request to present 2 businesses in one competition. We've also changed the language a little bit on the on the grades, the 9th through 12th grade, you'll notice that it also says or equivalent. We have some inquiries about permitting non-traditional students to participate. So like high school students that are working on their GED instead of their diploma. Again, it says or equivalent because the students obviously need to be the appropriate age. We don't, we're not going to permit somebody who's like 25 working on a GED to participate in a youth competition. But we did want to open that up to the non-traditional students as well. My guidelines on here are not loading, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint just to double check that there's nothing else in there that's changed significantly. Yeah, no, those are the two biggest changes. The components required are still the same. The prize dollar limits are still the same. And then, you know, the rules about the Masons and the marketing guide are still the same as well. Any other questions, you guys?
Not at the moment, but I'm sure I will down the road. I'm new, so I'm sure I will.
I totally
You can bug me anytime.
Okay, I'll call you, Sierra.
Okay.
Yes, I totally understand. Yeah, Sarah's really great, and all of our field managers are really great about being available for communities. So just keep them in the loop if you have questions. And like I said, if you want to reach out to me anytime as well, I'm always here to help.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, anything else I can answer for anyone? Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions, I'll go ahead and let you guys off. But if you have, if you do think of something after the fact, of course, feel free to reach out. This webinar was recorded, so the link will be sent out. And then again, links or invitations to the KEC State webinar will go out soon as well. And that webinar will also be recorded for you guys if you're not available on that date too. All right, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yep, everybody have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.